When you last saw me, I had just released a video titled, I'm Probably Winning Chicago. Well, quick update, I did not win Chicago, and I didn't even get close. But in my defense, I did say probably, I didn't guarantee it, so I didn't totally lie to you. Today, I'm going to give you an entire recap of my Chicago experience. I'm then going to talk about my expectations for the ban and errata list coming out later this week. I'll show you guys several deck profiles of things that I've been building since Chicago while we've been in this limbo period of waiting for bans and erratas before we can fully get ready for the Las Vegas Regional. And then I'll finish out by giving you my quick grades, quick analysis of the My Hero Academia characters releasing in early June with the Challenger decks. Okay, if any of those sound more interesting to you than others, you can just fast forward. I should have timestamps put on this video for each of those, so I won't be offended if you skip any of these parts. But we're going to start 2 weeks ago with my Chicago experience. And like I had said, I released this video here. I was so proud of myself too. I had gone 13-0 at my locals. Very good deck profile. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. I still really believe in the deck, even though it didn't quite go as expected. But I'm not going to start out with a recap of the main event because we had teams come first. Let me switch over here to this Floch deck. So the team's event started at noon on Friday. And I flew out Friday morning at 5 in the morning. So I had to get to the airport at like 3:30 in the morning. I ended up just not sleeping at all. I was actually like, packing my bags, getting my cards ready, cleaning the house. And so I only slept on the plane on my way to Chicago. So by the time I got to Chicago and registered for teams, I was running on 2 hours of sleep. Probably not recommended, but I really wanted to get there in time for teams. So my teammates were Dayton, my local, and he was playing Titan of Terror. Every team needs a Titan of Terror. It was like a requirement. And then I was partnering with my teammate on Let's Talk UVS TC, and he was playing Void, Mill, Midoriya. So a very unique team. We have the aggro Titan of Terror. We have the super prison deck of Midoriya, and then we have me as a wild card just on this silly Floch deck. So we could choose, okay, this is what Mill would go best into, or this is what aggro would go best into. I felt like our decks were really well suited to the team's format. There were 18 teams total in the side event, and we ended up getting top 4. So I'm very, very proud of our finish. Now, me personally, in just my games, I started out teams by going 4-0 with this Floch. I beat a Titan of Terror, I beat a Rodan, I beat a Jacob Johnson, and then I beat something else. Can't remember right now. But I started off 4-0, and I was feeling so proud of myself. And then I think my lack of sleep caught up to me. Or maybe it was just that I was playing Floch, and I was getting lucky in the early rounds, and Floch caught up to me. But I ended up going 0-3 over my last several rounds, and my teammates had to carry the day in those later rounds. So this Floch deck was really fun. The Floch builds, you get to mill 2, and then if you mill a backup with a difficulty... Here, let me zoom in here a little bit. I'm zoomed way too far out for you guys. If you mill a backup that's 1 difficulty or 2 difficulty, you get to build it. My analysis of Floch is I really want to lean into that. I want to try and build, I want to free build as much as possible. So the best attack that gets that done is Lethal Slash because it's clearing itself. And so we can just continually play Lethal Slash after Lethal Slash. We can play more attacks, get more opportunities to build backups. And Lethal Slash pairs super well with Grisha's Attack Titan, which is a 2 difficulty we can free build that says sacrifice, add a Fury attack from your discard pile to your hand, which is Lethal Slash. Then we can do like pony things here with like Hunter's Ally. We can build in Genghis Frog for +3 damage and just go on these Lethal Slash chains and win that way. But we can also win by using Floch to double the damage on something that has really high base damage like a Political Strife. Blitz gets +1 damage for each backup in your stage, and then you can use your first enhance to double it. So this can easily be a 4 low for 20 finisher. We could also finish off with like some Harness Undeaths with all of these backups that if it deals any damage at all, we then just get to burn you for like 10+ damage. So I really like that this Floch deck had several different ways to kill my rival. I can double the damage, I can go on Harness Undeath strings, or I can go on Lethal Slash strings. And then as far as defense, I have a 0 out. I have Dramatic Exit, Keiko's Aid. I've got Breaker 2s, right? Political Strife has Breaker 2, and Keiko's Aid is going to be like a pseudo Breaker 2. Night's Rest was coming in really, really big to commit a backup and ready this foundation, basically turning my backups into foundations. Anyway, this deck was really, really fun. We get to utilize Little Mister to start milling 3 with Floch. We can like use Beast Titan's Rock Barrage to build in the Grishas to go find Lethal Slash. There's just so many things that we can be doing here. Onyakapone to make our first attack not count towards progressive difficulty. The deck is a lot better than it looks on its face. Great time in teams. What I want to say about the Chicago Regionals, all the side events were ran really, really well. This was probably, and I'm not being hyperbolic or over the top here, because it wasn't like a in-your-face great event. It was a subtly great event. Everything was ran well. The side events started on time. You had big timers in the middle of the room. They were streaming the side events like Teams and Retro. It just made it feel like a big deal. And the promos were awesome. These Rebel Frontier promos have been great. They've held their value pretty well. They're all exclusive to that regional, so you can go and get this time it was Nonagon, Finally Free, Enough Talk, and what was the other one? Street Hero. I feel like they all have pretty good value, so you can go and get those promos and then sell them and make back a lot of your travel money, or just keep them because they look awesome. Anyway, this event, it just felt well done. It wasn't huge. It wasn't over the top. It was just really, really well put together. So kudos to Levi and the organized play team for making that happen. I also liked how all the event staff had like the UVS jerseys with the organized play colors. It just looked really, really good. It was well put together. So that was teams. There's my Floch deck. Teams went all the way until the place closed down at 9 o'clock. The finals still hadn't happened, so they pushed the finals to Sunday. And then we went out to eat. And by the time I was going to bed, it was like midnight. I was only running on the 2 hours of sleep already. So I entered the main event the next day with not a lot of sleep. In fact, I woke up that morning with a massive, massive headache. But luckily for me, since I did win my local championship, I got a round 1 bye. So I started 1-0. Now that was important to me playing a prison deck, because a lot of times as a prison deck, you can very easily start out with a tie, and then you enter these just terrible, terrible draw brackets that aren't good for prison decks. So starting out 1-0 felt good. My round 2 opponent was Godzilla 1, and I won that game by mill. I think he touched me with maybe one move the entire game, or maybe the entire round. Just full blocked everything. You know, Godzilla 1 used to be a really, really difficult matchup for Midoriya, but when City Rampage was errated, it kind of took the top off the aggro for Godzilla. Godzilla can still string out really, really well on very few foundations, but it requires a little more luck. It requires just a little bit more to go Godzilla's way. It's not so free as it was with City Rampage. So I got round 2 by mill. I'm 2-0. I go into round 3. Round 3, I play against an aggro Rodan. And I win game 1 by my rivals scooping to me when they realized that they're just not going to win, and I'm going to win by mill. And then Rodan actually wins game 2. Got me pretty early. Again, it was an aggro Rodan list. And I'm weak on the early turns, and this deck, when it really went, it went well. And so we go to game 3. We have like 20 minutes. I know I'm going to need to be aggressive because I'm not going to be able to mill them out. And Rodan doesn't really find their answers. Now, Void Rodan does have a lot of answers available for Deku, and I have ways around those answers with like Tattered Costumes and Batra arrives. But I can't remember if I found my answers to their answers or if they just didn't find their answers. I did win with a flash attack. So going into lunch break, I am 3-0. And this is my 3rd straight regional to start where I'm 3-0. And the last 2 regionals, back in 2025 in Louisville, I started off 4-0 with Peak, and then I lost on a win-in. For Top Cuts in Atlanta, I started off 3-0 with Pony, and then I didn't even get to a win-in, and I just kind of collapsed on myself. I didn't finish any of those with a losing record, but not great finishes for having started 3-0. So third straight time to start 3-0. I'm so like ready to break this curse, this like funk that I've been in ever since I purposely ID'd in that last chance qualifier to get to Worlds in early 2025. I've just been in this funk where I can't quite top cut. It feels like things are going well and then it collapses. So I don't want that to happen. We head into our round 4. I'm playing against Titan of Terror. I told everybody I have a terrible Titan of Terror matchup. It's very, very difficult. Well, I win my game 1 versus this Titan of Terror. We go to game 2. Titan of Terror, I have him down to like 10 health, and I have the flash attack in my hand for the next turn. I have game. If it passes back to me, I'm going to 2-0 this Titan of Terror and start 4-0. I was kind of over the moon already in my head because I could feel it happening. And then the Titan of Terror, I could live 1 attack, but 2 attacks was going to require me checking a 5 on a block. The Titan of Terror fully sold out to check an attack. And if they checked a 3, they wouldn't be able to pass it. And if they checked a 5, they could pass it, keep their character ready, and then get 1 last attack after that. So they checked a 5. That's the first thing that went wrong for me. And then they play their last attack. I'm still going to live this last attack if I just check a 5 on my block. And I check a 4. And I don't live. So we go to game 3. We can't finish the game 3. I tie. I'm kind of tilted because of checking that 4 on defense, where it's like, if I checked a 5, I'm 4-0, and I beat my hardest matchup, and I'd be feeling so good about myself. But I tied, and I couldn't be upset about tying my hardest matchup. So I kind of put myself together, going into round 5. And round 5, it's another Titan of Terror. Against both of these Titan of Terrors, by the way, I lost the die roll. So I lose the die roll again to Titan of Terror. This time, everything goes bad game 1. I mean, everything. I just get murdered. So we go to game 2, and I win game 2. Now we have about 15 minutes to go for game 3. And we end up going into overtime. The Titan of Terror is doing the math on if they can kill me. And I can get a block on anything. But what they grabbed out of their discard pile was Attack Titan's Haymaker, which says it can only be blocked by cards with difficulty of 3 or greater. And I was holding a 1 difficulty card and a 2 difficulty card in my hand. I had a Fearsome transformations in my stage, so I used Fearsome to try and draw, and I drew into another 1 difficulty, and that was just game. I couldn't block. I mean, and that was a cool way to die. Like, in my defense, the Titan of Terror player finding the line, right? It would have been really, really easy to go and grab the low attack, what is it, impact? I can't remember what it is. It's a Crushing Impact. It would have been really easy and natural to go grab Crushing Impact since it's the fastest thing out of the discard. But they took their time. They decided to go grab the Attack Titan's Haymaker, and it was a winning decision. I would have been able to block the Crushing Impact. I maybe would have had to have checked a 5, but it would have been possible, and it just wasn't possible with the Attack Titan's Haymaker. So now I'm very tilted because I felt like I played the best I possibly could against Titan of Terror, and I've got a loss and a tie to show for it, and I feel like I should have a win and a tie to show for it, and it just didn't go my way. So going into round 6, now I'm 3-1-1. I still have hope here. Round 6, I play against a King Ghidorah 2, and King Ghidorah 2 is like a 100-0 matchup for me. I'm never going to kill King Ghidorah 2, but I'm just going to mill them out, and that's exactly what happened. I milled King Ghidorah 2 out. Now there's only 15 minutes left, and then I just had to basically take a knee and run out the clock. And so I win against King Ghidorah 2. Now I'm 4-1-1, and 2 rounds left, right? I just got to get wins for my last 2 rounds. And then I play against Sal, the newest member of Let's Talk UVS, and we had played in testing, and Sal was on Reiner 3. And I knew that Reiner 3 was a bad matchup for Midoriya going into the event. Now, if you were getting ready for Chicago, Reiner 3 was really picking up steam in the week or 2 before the event. If you were keeping your ear to the ground, it was very apparent that a lot of good players were going to be on Reiner 3 because power tokens count towards the card types, and so he can transform very, very quickly. And once he transforms, he's probably just the best character in the game. Okay, so with that expectation, I had asked Sal to play in team testing the Tuesday before Chicago to test the matchup. And like I expected, I went 1-3. It didn't feel as bad as the Titan of Terror matchup, but it still felt very, very difficult because it was so difficult to mill out Reiner 3 because he's so inevitable. I really had to be able to kill him. And it was possible to kill him, but Reiner 3 is very good at getting Roman cancels, which are difficult to fight through unless I side in Guardian Angel of Chinatown and some other things. And this wasn't my actual sideboard for the event, by the way. I'm looking at my UVS Ultra list because in the actual event, I think I was siding in 2 Guardian Angels of Chinatowns. That was one of my last changes. So in against Sal in round 7, we get paired into each other. So I'm going up against Reiner and I'm ready, you know. And so I lose game 1, and then in game 2, I actually have him 1 card away from being milled. He's able to play this Thunder Spear Barrage, and he only has a couple foundations ready. And I didn't realize that he had a finally free, and I was holding a Filled with Doubt, and I could take away the Echo, I could get a block on it, and then that was going to be it. And then he would mill out, and I would take game 2, and we probably wouldn't have time to finish game 3, and I would escape with a tie, and then hopefully 5-1 and 2 would maybe squeak into top cuts was my thinking. But I didn't realize he had the finally free, so I didn't play the Filled with Doubt. I cannot believe it. I didn't play the Filled with Doubt, and he was able to kill me because he played the finally free, got the momentum, and then he was able to echo it. So just a complete blunder on my end. The other complete blunder is I had specifically put in Guardian Angels of Chinatown to get past the Roman cancels for Reiner 3, and I forgot to side it into game 2. And there was a moment where I could have killed him, and he had a Roman cancel, so I wasn't allowed to go for it. So 2 just complete blunders by me. You know, I felt like rounds 4 and 5, I just got a little unlucky, but round 7 was complete blunder. Now I'm going into round 8. I'm 4, what am I now? 4, 2, and 1, and I pretty much have no hope. I'm thinking like maybe there's a 2% chance I can squeak into top 16 if I get a win, but I'm probably just out of it because I didn't win. You know, I didn't win any of the 3 rounds against my difficult matchups. 2 Titan of Terror matchups and 1 Reiner 3 matchup. In my defense, I lost the die roll in all 3 of those rounds, but I have to be able to find a win against a difficult matchup. I thought I was going to be able to do it, and I wasn't able to do it. In my last round, I'm going up against a Godzilla 1. They were super, super nice, super fun to play against. The player that I went up against, and I was in a position to mill them out, and then I just made the stupidest play of all time. They were playing like a mono lows Godzilla. I had 1 low block in hand. I had several like Divine Defender, Street Hero. I could just keep using this low block, you know, and I was in no danger. And my brain just turned off, and I blocked with the low, and I used Desperate Plea and built the low block in. And I still would have, I think, won the game, but I checked poorly on a final block. But I shouldn't have been in that position. I would have been just super safe if I didn't Desperate Plea in my low block. So the last 2 rounds, I don't know if it was lack of sleep or what caught up to me, but just complete blunders on my end. I've got to level up as a player if I expect to get out of this funk and get back into top cuts. So I ended up the event 4-3 and 1. Obviously, did not win Chicago. That said, even if I had made top cuts, this was top 16, guys. We got Titan of Terror, Reiner 3, Titan of Terror, Titan of Terror, Reiner 3, Titan of Terror, Titan of Terror, Mothra, Reiner 3, Mothra, Titan of Terror, Reiner 3, Titan of Terror, Annie. All right, congratulations, Mike. Titan of Terror, Titan of Terror. There was no chance. I mean, even if I had top cut, and I felt like I should have if I had played my best, even if I had no chance of winning this event. There was no world in which I should have brought this prison Midoriya list to Chicago. Why I brought it? Well, it was because I didn't own Destructive Heat Rays and Queen of the Monsters. I didn't open any Queen of the Monsters when I think I purchased 5 boxes of Brain of Kaiju, and in all 5 boxes I didn't get a Queen of the Monsters. And I only opened 1 Destructive Heat Ray, and I just immediately sold it because I knew that Queen of the Monsters and Destructive Heat Ray would be the promos for the local championship, and I would rather just play a deck that didn't need them win them, and then not have to purchase them. So that was my idea. But by the time, the Stormcrow local championship was 1 week before Chicago. So by the time I got my hands on the Heat Rays and the Queen of the Monsters, it felt kind of too late to make a change in my deck. So it felt too late to change to Titan of Terror. And it also felt too late to change to Reiner 3 because I just didn't have the reps on Reiner 3 compared to, I knew that the top players on Reiner 3 were going to have a lot more reps on the character compared to me, whereas I did have just a million reps on this Prison Midoriya deck. So I decided to stick with Midoriya. It was also a little bit of, I'll be honest, probably selfishness and pride, a little bit of character faults that I have. People on the team had been telling me to get off of this deck and that it wasn't well positioned for Las Vegas. And I just chose to continue to ignore them because I was having fun with it and I was vibing with it, which I don't think was necessarily wrong. But if I want to get out of this funk and actually put some results to my name, I probably need to be more malleable, more coachable going forward, and humble myself a little bit. So that was why I didn't switch here, and I felt like that this was one of the best decks in the game. Like, honestly, I think it's probably going to be really well positioned for Las Vegas. But it was terribly positioned for Chicago. I shouldn't have brought it to Chicago, and I tried to anyway, and I got punished for doing so. So I got what I deserved. As far as this top cut, by the way, we had 5 Let's Talk UVS team members make it. George Zhang making his return, getting 15th with Titan of Terror. We had Ross at 13th. I think George actually ended up getting top 8. He lost to Drew in top 8. Then we had Drew at 10th. He ended up getting 3rd place, losing to Calvin. We had Sal, who just joined, newest member, immediately makes top 8. How about that? And then we had Elijah, also on basically the same Mothra deck as Drew. Very, very similar to like Deku, but a little more proactive, a little more able to actually kill Titan of Terror, whereas Deku felt very unable to do so in time before Titan of Terror was able to get me. So kudos to Drew and Elijah for making that read and going on Mothra. So that's a pretty good top cut rate for Let's Talk UVS. We were probably 1/10 of the event, but we end up being 1/3 of top cuts. Drew did the best out of the team, finishing in 3rd place. Finals was Calvin versus Calvin, and I know that they're very, very good friends. It was a fun finals. Reiner 3 versus Titan of Terror. The perfect finals for this, this character representation. One of the things that I really whiffed on for Chicago was I thought people were going to be cooking a little more. I didn't realize everybody was really going to just pile into Titan of Terror and Reiner 3, because a lot of times in the past couple years, there will be far and away best deck situations, and top players just won't play them because they want to play with what they vibe with, kind of like how I did. I was having fun with this Prison Midoriya deck, so I played Prison Midoriya, even though I knew it wasn't well positioned. And I expected that maybe a lot of the field was going to follow me, and they sure didn't. This was a sweaty event. Everybody was giving it their best. They were piling into the best deck, and this was the result. So with this result, with that recap, what are my expectations for the ban and errata list? These are the cards that I think are candidates to get hit on the ban and errata list upcoming this week. Let's start off with Titan of Terror, because this is like a 95% likelihood. They're probably just going to take off the no check necessary on the form. Let's be honest, it was obvious on reveal that this character was going to get an errata, and then early April local championship data was coming in, and it was just so clear that Titan of Terror was a problem. I thought they might put him on last month's ban and errata even before he saw a single regional, but they chose to let him go wild in Chicago. Almost certainly going to happen. The easiest fixes are to make it first form or just take away the no check necessary. He's still going to be an extremely powerful character, probably still top 10 in the game, in all honesty, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to be a strong character. It's just not okay to be this overtuned at the moment. Then we go to Reiner. I don't think that they're actually going to hit Reiner. What they're going to do is they're going to say that tokens don't count in the stage anymore. Perhaps they'll make a rules edit along those lines, or they'll just errata Reiner to say that tokens don't count. And then he can't transform as quickly. He's still going to be very strong, Probably not top 10 like Godzilla, but he would still be like top 25-ish, you know. So that one I think is probably a 50-50 chance they could let Reiner continue as is for Vegas, but I think that would be a huge mistake. I just don't know if the design team fully understands that yet. So Godzilla, 95% chance. This one, 50-50. And then if you want to hit these Earth, Air aggro decks, I think Hunter's Ally and Queen of the Monsters is a good place to start. Now, let's be honest. Queen of the Monsters is the problem. This card is doing so much. It is building. Any attack that builds, you should tread very lightly as a designer, and as a player, you should look very hard at immediately just adding that to your deck. When you can build while you attack, that's going to be very strong for aggro decks. Not only is it doing that, though, but it's clearing your progressive. Not only is it doing that, but sometimes it's building the foundation that you need to win the game. It's getting you that game-winning interaction. So Queen of the Monsters is the problem, but they're not allowed to admit that. They're not allowed to admit that it is. Because Queen of the Monsters is still the participation promo for the local championships before Vegas, and because it's a part of the most recent set, and it's one of the best ultra rares that you can open up right now, they're not going to hit Queen of the Monsters quite yet. Let's be honest. It is very, very likely, though, to catch a ban sometime later, if not this year, then next year. Then we have Hunter's Ally, and this one is pretty easy to hit. It can build an ally card from your discard pile. At the time when there weren't great backups and assets to build that were allies, this was perfectly fine. You know, if this was building in Strategic Meeting, then this is just a 5-diff that's a little understated that builds you a foundation and gets you a momentum. Now that's very, very strong, but it's okay for an ultra rare to be very, very strong. But it started to get kind of crazy when it was able to build in these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backup cards like Frog and Cammy and others. And then it fully became broken when it was able to build in Team Hero. Why they gave Team Hero Ally, I will never know. It's just obviously a busted interaction with Hunter's Ally to, hey, now I can, on any Hunter's Ally deck, pretty much, as long as the character has good or air. Sorry, I shouldn't say any Hunter's Ally deck. Any Hunter's Ally deck where the character has good or air, you can now just build in this asset that builds in any foundation you want. So now this ultra rare says grab any foundation you want and just immediately build it into your stage. That's cracked. What they're probably going to do is if they errata Hunter's Ally, they'll just say build one ally foundation. I suspect they'll just go ahead and ban Hunter's Ally. I'll put a Hunter's Ally ban at about a 30 to 40% chance of happening. Again, I think the real problem is Queen of the Monsters, but they're not allowed to admit that, so it has to be Hunter's Ally. I don't think anything's going to happen to Team Hero because it was part of a pre-constructed deck. The easiest fix here would simply be take Ally off of it, but it's still just a very overtuned asset. But again, it's a recent pre-constructed deck that they put out. They're probably not going to hit it. Thunder Spear Barrage I put here only because if they want to take the top off the offense of Reiner or like Nago and these heavy damage order characters where Thunder Spear Barrage just becomes like a 20 damage move because it's going to be 10 plus damage, and then you just echo it. This could be another thing that, hey, I don't actually want to touch Reiner or the power token stage thing. I want to put my head in the sand on that issue. We'll just hit Thunder Spear Barrage. And maybe if we take a little bit of his aggression out, then people can actually kill him before he can kill you. Now, in my opinion, if you're making all these hits to aggro decks, then you need to also hit the prison decks a little bit. Otherwise, Las Vegas is going to be, well, it's going to be like the deck that I created here, the Prison Midoriya deck, or the Elijah and Drew's deck, the Prison Mothra deck that actually can kill you pretty consistently. I think the easiest hits for the prison decks are Cape of No Return, Genkai's Guidance, and Bachelor Arrives. Bachelor Arrives is very, very unlikely because it's such a new card. So that gives us these two Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament cards. Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament is the oldest booster set in Standard. It was entirely sold out, I believe. I believe that like UVS Games has no more stock. Any stock out there in the wild is the secondary market. So Cape of No Return, Genkai's Guidance, I think it would be really, really easy to hit either of these. It hits Air and Void at the same time, whichever one you choose. They're just ways to remove your rival's attack from the game. So it kind of also just cuts the top off of these mill decks. I'm not saying that mill decks are crazy powerful right now. It's just that they're on the verge of becoming crazy powerful, and it's not a deck type that you want to be amongst the most powerful deck types out there. So Genkai's Guidance, Cape of No Return, I could easily see it. Cape of No Return, we have a lot more answers to because it's an asset in your stage. And it checks a 4 here, so it's a pretty real deck building cost to run it. Genkai's Guidance, though, this destroy 3 foundations is not, it means a lot in the early game, but in the late game, that's almost more of a benefit than it is a con. Like for my Midoriya deck, this was the only way that I was able to sack my own foundations, which I needed to do to not just continue building out, and I don't want to cycle out before my rival cycles out. And there's not a lot of ways to cancel actions at the moment. I guess you could have like Koenma's Task, but there's really not much out there. And Genkai's Guidance not removing itself is a problem too. So I would say a 15% chance of Genkai's Guidance getting a ban. I would love it if they did. I think it would make the prison decks just killable enough to where they're still very, very strong. We could still tilt more heavy towards control for Las Vegas, but not quite too much. Again, a Hunter's Ally hit. Now you're getting ahead of like the Pony aggro decks that I think we could see. I mean, that deck is kind of crazy right now. Pony getting access to Hunter's Ally and Queen of the Monsters. I think that's a character to keep your eye on for Las Vegas if we don't see a hit here. So these are the cards that I think have a chance. Bachelor Wives and Queen don't really have any chance of getting hit. I just put them here because I think that they have a chance as time goes on. And it kind of goes along with other things that I was talking about. So that's my expectations for Ban and Errata. 95% Titan of Terror hit, 50-50 on a Reiner hit, 15 to 30% chance on a Genkai's Guidance or Hunter's Ally hit. I would be surprised if there was anything else, but I'm hoping for a wide ban list. Okay, let's talk about some characters that I've been building since Chicago. Just having fun with. I'm looking for something to play this upcoming Saturday at my local championship. So first up is Hanj Zoe 4 Eyes. The main attraction here is that it's a way to use Massive Mutant Machine. And the new card that we're using from Godzilla is Acidic Sludge. So what we're doing is we're going to build in Massive Mutant Machine. We're going to use Falling Heel Strike or Wielding One for All to then unflip that Massive Mutant Machine and give plus 5/5 to our attack. And now what we can do is use like a dust attack to get a tension, to get a Roman cancel and a momentum. We're going to cash in that momentum with like Acidic Sludge. We're going to stack our deck with either 2 attacks that we can then just fighting for control draw, or maybe like 1 attack and a 6 check. Like we can put Syndicate Target as the second card and pushing the limits draw. We can draw the attack and then make guarantee that we check the 6 on the next one. And then we can just string out really, really far. We got Battle Laura, Trigrab. I mean, it's just traditional death things. The main attraction here, though, that I was thinking about was Military Tactics. Now, this card ends up being more good in theory than actually good in practice. If I was actually taking it to a regional, in fact, this would probably be a cut. But my idea was that this could be really, really good against like a Titan of Terror, for example. Hey, I'll add back that attack that you played for free back to your hand. And now you can't kill me anymore. And I actually have the damage output to be able to kill you on the backswing because I'm Hanj and I give 3 damage to everything plus Greater Goal plus I'm with you. I mean, these attacks just get really, really big. And then we get to play Knots Flask and Military Airship on top of that. So that's the Hanj deck. It's pretty basic and fun to play. Other deck, all of these are pretty basic in all honesty. I'm just having a fun time. I'm not seriously thinking about Las Vegas with these decks. I just want to play something fun at my LC. So Bertolt 1. The attraction here is that when you transform, you get to ruin X and your rival loses X health. X equals your momentum. Now, if you can burn your rival for like 10 plus health, and there's not much that they can do to stop that other than just keeping you off of momentum. But my basic thinking was, hey, with these tension attacks, I can really, really ramp up this momentum. So if I'm playing against like a prison deck, like a Mothra, I can just burn them for over half their life total. And then I just need to hit them with like one thing to win the game. So everything is about ramping momentum. The other aspect is, since we're not adding speed, when we transform, we do add a lot of damage, but we don't add speed. What we're going to do is just play all of these low attacks. So it's basically a mono low deck where everything adds momentum. Rapid Speed Slash, get momentum. Gunflame Feint, tension. Stroke the Big Tree, tension. Determined Advance, get momentum. This is our one non-low attack, but if we do have a Roman cancel, we can just make it a low. And then we have Walk the Dog as our finisher. This is going to be our main payoff for all of that momentum. In order to transform, we do need to get to 9 foundations, so we need to be able to turbo build here. Now we have this form to discard a card and draw a card, so if we use like a Feral Shriek, then now we just became a 7-hander because we get to remove this and draw an extra card. I'm also playing Short-Lived Promotions to become a 7-hander. Now if I use Feral Shriek in a Short-Lived Promotion, I'm like an 8-hander. And we're just drawing a million cards. We have Fearsome Transformations to draw. We could use our Rapid Speed Slash to draw. We can ramp up momentum with Strategic Meeting and Finally Free. We can pay off our checks with Find Your Own Way. We can pay off our checks with Inspiring Song, and then Dark Tournament Looms is the key player here. You add a card from your momentum to your hand and you draw a card. So if Determined Advance, if Rapid Speed Slash, if Strategic Meeting, or Finally Free adds a foundation to your momentum, and you really want to build really, really wide on your turn 2, you can add that foundation from your momentum to your hand, and then you can draw a card and maybe draw into a foundation and just turbo build. Or in the late game, you can go and grab your Walk the Dog from momentum, and then you have a Walk the Dog in hand, and now you're going to be drawing 3 cards between those Walk the Dogs. Maybe you airship a Walk the Dog, and now you're drawing like 5 cards with those Walk the Dogs. It's a really, really fun deck. It's a very simple engine. You can just pick it up and play it without much practice. Okay, my last candidate here for my LC is this Burning Godzilla list. What I see with a lot of players building Burning Godzilla is they see this mill 4, and so they know that they just have to make this huge deck, and they end up with no fundamental game plan. It's kind of a sloppy deck because they're just throwing everything in. I want to play a more compact Burning Godzilla, and when I say more compact, this is still 86 cards, but the basic idea here is that this guy gives more damage on his attacks than Godzilla 1. He just can't pass checks quite as smoothly. But he does get this once per game enhance, and he can remove 2 cards from his card pool to help his check hacking. So we can then use attacks like Defeating the Colossus Titan and Canister Creation to lose health on our own turn to get us to be able to use this once per game. Or we can use this once per game to remove a rival attack, a extremely strong defensive ability. So we can use this both ways. Everything is getting massive damage. I was just goldfishing a hand the other day, and my Heat Ray got to 30 plus damage on turn 3 because I had so many in discard and so many cards with 5 difficulty or greater. It was just nuts. Now, what we need to do here is find an engine to be able to find more attacks and to be able to actually pass those checks. So I'm 4Xing Military Airship because it's so important to find. I'm playing cards like Enough Talk, which is going to draw. I'm playing Smashing Stomp, which can draw. Canister Creation can draw because we'll build a Fearsome Transformation. Queen of the Monsters can draw sometimes. And then over here we have, for draw, we have the Fearsome Transformations, a Father Sin on those early turns, and then Prelude to Destruction basically gets you whatever attack you want. I'm also using Hunter's Ally because it's just too strong not to run. We can build in Genghis Frog for even more damage. I know it's a little silly, but I really just want to one-shot like these defensive decks. As soon as I do get an attack through, I want it to be for lethal. Or we could do like Sean Gilmore, which is basically like building 2 foundations. Or we could do Cammy to get speed and flip their things. And so that's the basic idea here. We can also really help pass our checks with like Capture the Target, Weapon Clash to build in a foundation, Strong Wind Up to be able to play like a Defeating the Colossus Titan as a finisher, History's Greatest Monster to be able to ready. Amanda's Help is in here just because it's an ally. I have 12 things for the allies, right? I've got these 6 backups, 2 strategics, 2 Amandas, and 2 Shobijins. Even though we're not blocking much, surely we can get at least 1 block off is the idea. So we're a compact enough deck to where you should find your pieces enough, but we're also still almost 90 cards, so we're gonna not cycle until after turn 4 most of the time. But I want to play Burning Godzilla as aggressive as possible, and I really want to be using that once per game on offense when I can on the winning turn. But if I have to, I'm not afraid to, of course, use it on defense let's see. That brings us, those are the 3 decks that I'm kind of thinking about right now. That's Burning Godzilla, Bertolt 1, and Hanj. Again, none of these decks do I think that they're like Las Vegas regional ready, but until we know the bans and erratas, I really can't in a strong way prepare for Las Vegas. So I can at least prepare for my local championship. I know that Titan of Terror will still be legal or whatever, but I'm not going to be cringe and play Titan of Terror or something like that. I know I probably was cringe playing a Prison Midoriya deck at my local championship earlier. So I really want to play something more for fun and just have a great time. Okay, so in June, we have these characters releasing. These My Hero Academia characters. My Hero coming back. Maybe this is the last ride with Universes. I hope that there's more. I thought that this like Final War arc was going to get a whole booster set, but instead it's just coming out here with Challenger decks. I'm going to give you some quick grades here. So let's start with Deku. Deku is a 6-hander with 30 health on Air, All, Good, and Life. He can include any Vestige Foundations regardless of symbol. So everything that came out in the Dark Hero Arc Challenger deck, you can also use. And then he has Tenacious. This attack gets +2 or -2 speed. So he's kind of like Rodan here. Shares 2 symbols with Rodan also. And it says if you have 6 or more Vestige Foundations, it gets +3 or -3 speed instead. And then response, after you block with the Foundation card, build it, draw 1 card. So then you get to be like a pseudo 7-hander with speed control on face. Hey, if you're a pseudo 7-hander with speed control on face, that should be good to at least be B tier, no matter what. Now, whether this character is A tier or not, I'm not sure because you have to block with a foundation card. Typically, you want to be building your foundations and then blocking with your attacks. So in order to get that draw off, in order to get that build off, it has to be a foundation card. Foundations tend to have kind of bad block mods. And then 6 Vestige Foundations is a really, really high cost here. Like if we look at the Vestige Foundations, let's go here real quick. Vestige Foundation. Let me just show you how bad these are. We have 8th Wielder. This is commit, draw 1 for every 2 different named, and then you remove it. I don't really know why it says commit, and then you just remove it anyway. So this one, if you use it, as soon as you use it, it's not available anymore, and it's not going to be counting towards those 6. Black Whip is after you commit this card to pay a cost. Well, there's no reason with this latest Deku to be committing cards to pay cost, so this one doesn't really work. This is when you transform your character. Well, this new Deku doesn't transform. 4th Wielder is obviously good. You can 4x 4th Wielder. 2nd Wielder is fine. You can pay this for EX or Powerful. Commit, flip, and attack for +3 speed. It's fine. 7th Wielder Float is just pretty bad. Smokescreen is fine, similar to 2nd Wielder. You could maybe include it, but you'd much rather be including other foundations. And then 3rd Wielder Fajin is after this, let's see, after you commit this card to pay a cost, add it to your momentum. Deku's not making you do that on face. You do get this after this attack receives a speed or damage of 3 or greater, gets +3 damage, and then you can add to your momentum. So that kind of works with Deku, the new one, because if you give it +3 speed and you have those 6 Vestige, then you can go and add this to your momentum. But the Vestige Foundations right now really aren't great. It's just that 4th Wielder that just jumps out at you as like, okay, we can 4x this. And this is saying you have to have 6 Vestige Foundations. So it's really, really hard to grade this character without knowing the Vestige Foundations yet. Minimum, I would say B tier. Because you see a lot of cards, you have speed control. How could this character be bad? It has to be at least good. I just don't know if it's going to be very good. Let's go to All Might next. All Might, 6-hander, 32 health. Your attack gets 2 damage. If it has the good symbol, it gets +1/+1. So all of your good attacks are going to get +1 speed, +3 damage. That's very, very good stats here. Once per turn, sacrifice a foundation, draw a card. If you sacrificed an armor card this way, draw 2 cards instead. And then response commit, after you take damage, build an armor foundation from your discard pile. So similar to the character in the show, we're doing a lot with our armor here. We can build it from our discard pile when we get hit, and then we can sacrifice that armor from our stage to be able to draw 2 cards once per turn, usable on offense and on defense. And we're giving out really good stats here. So this character almost certainly isn't bad. But again, similar to Deku, I can't tell you if he's very good or not because we haven't seen the armor cards. If the armor cards are terrible, then this character probably isn't going to be great. So Deku and All Might, difficult to tell. We'll have to see how much they push these armor and vestige foundations. I hope that they're not reserved with them. I hope that they are very good and that these characters do make a meta splash. Okay, let's get into Shigaraki, All for One successor. 6-hander, 33 health. Enhance, remove up to 2 cards from your hand. You may try to play 1 card removed as your next card this turn. Your attack gets +1 speed. If this attack deals damage, draw 1 card for each card removed this way. Okay, this one is really hard to tell what's going on because there's so much text here. But basically on every attack that you play, you can just remove whatever card you're going to play next, and then your attack gets a speed, and if it hits, you draw. And then you'll just play that card next, right? And so basically all of your attacks have the added text of, if this attack hits, I get to draw a card. If you remove up to 2, like if you know your attack's going to get hit, then you could draw 2 cards, and then you only get to play 1 of those that you removed as your next attack. So everything's getting +1 speed. That's not a ton, but it is something. And then that speed really plays well with this response because it says after you partially block an attack, your block gains breaker 1. So you do have to partial. You are going to be taking damage. But when you take damage, this just says if this attack deals damage. So that enables your draw. You can use this enhance on defense as well as offense. And then you can give it breaker 1. And so if your rival's having to commit these extra foundations because of breaker, then maybe that plays into this +1 speed and you can actually get these hits more reliably. You do get access to cards like, is it Blue Flame Torment? I think it's a 3 difficulty. It says after you block an attack with this card, if it has a keyword, it deals no damage, and it has breaker 1 on it. So now you can use that in this Shigaraki to basically have breaker 2. And then you won't even take damage when you partial block with it. I think that this guy is actually pretty good. I saw some people kind of saying that he was bad on reveal. I actually think that there's a chance that he's the best of these 4 characters. I wouldn't be surprised. And he seems a lot of fun to play. He's not locked into any keyword or any specific attack package. You could build him a number of different ways. He gets Void, Evil, and Death. And then our final character here is All for One Demon Lord, 6-hander, 34 health, a very chunky guy. You may try to play 1 card from your momentum as your next card this turn. If you play a card this way, remove it when it leaves the card pool. So not only can we play from our hand, we can play from our momentum. We do have to commit our character, but we can re-ready our character with this response. Once per turn, after an attack deals 5 or more damage, ready this character. You may add 1 card from your discard pile to your momentum, and then you can use your enhance to be able to play the card that you added from your discard pile to your momentum. So very, very cool, but no stats. I really like the design of this character. I could definitely see myself playing him for locals. I do have a somewhat hard time seeing how a character that gives no stats is going to be good in today's meta. And to some extent, that's true for Shigaraki as well, right? I think he's really cool, but +1 speed is just, it's just +1 speed. All for One, we're not giving any speed. We're not giving any damage. We're also not taking away any speed or damage here. We're just able to play cool cards. I think like Biolante just does this a lot more free and then also gets like added damage and minus damage. We'll just have to see. I think it's a cool design, but I think that this guy probably is not great. So All for One and Shigaraki feel like they're not quite as good as Deku and All Might. Maybe Shigaraki ends up being something. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit. Like this would be my sleeper character pick of the 4. But All Might and Deku kind of jump out at you with the stats, right? +1, +3, and then over here +2 or -2 speed. So those stats kind of jump out at you a little more, probably a little easier to play. But these 2 are very, very locked in to vestige and armor cards, whereas Shigaraki and All for One are very, very open with how you could build them. So it's probably going to take a little bit more skill to play the evil characters here, and it'll be a little easier out of the box, I think. More obvious the lines to take to play these good characters. So all in all, I don't see any of these 4 characters taking over the meta and making a huge splash, which is kind of a shame because it's so long until our next set. what is it, like August when our next set comes out. So by the time the next booster set, we have Las Vegas regional later this month, and then we'll have the Dallas regional in July, which means we'll only have one regional this year with the second booster set. And then I think Fairy Tale comes out like early November, and it's yet to be seen what day exactly in November is the World Championship and whether Fairy Tale is going to be legal for that World Championship, because you know that they're not going to want to like step over Thanksgiving for the World Championship. So if it's mid-November, are they going to make Fairy Tale legal or not? I mean, this is a later in the year question. And to some extent, this is just only an issue because of how slow the product release schedule has been this early 2026. It's all kind of rested on this Reign of Kaiju set, which I think is why they had to make this set kind of overpowered. And there's still a lot to be explored. Like I've been having fun just with these Bertolt, Hanj, and then the Burning Godzilla list. I've been having fun. So there's so much still to explore, especially if they make some bands and erratas. But I'm a little sad at the slowing down product release rate. I hope 2027 kind of picks it up a little bit compared to 2026. Like I think it was it 2024 when it was just crazy? 2024 was crazy product release schedule. Maybe it was 2025. One of those two, but this one has slowed it down dramatically. So that's my quick analysis of these 4 characters. All for One Shigaraki, a little more open, but not so just obviously overpowered with any stats. Deku and All Might, you're getting stats, but you're a little more closed in the way that you're able to deck build them. That is going to be it for today, guys. I'll have more. I'm going to try and do a video like this each week where I'm not quite as prepared. I don't have a script to follow here. I didn't really spend a lot of time putting things together. I just turn on my camera, turn on my microphone, and talk for an hour about whatever it is. I'll probably have some of these with the team as well. My hope is to have one every week, every 2 weeks. I will be going to the Vegas Regional later this month. Got my local championship this week. I'm very, very hopeful for a huge band and errata list. This week, I will, come join my Discord. You'll see an invite to my Discord in the about this video, the video description. We are always talking universes, sometimes very passionately. So sometimes it gets a little heated, but it's all in good fun. It's just a place to come and discuss universes 24/7, find games to play, be around people like you, people who take this game seriously and competitively and just want to have a fun time. We're building a really fun community over there. So come and join, come and talk, and play some games with us. If there are some big bands and erratas, then we'll all celebrate together, either this Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember which day it is. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.